Hey there, it's Marley. Welcome back to my booktube channel. In today's video, I'm doing a horror reading blog. So obviously it's October, the month of Halloween, and I always like to do some sort of spooky Halloween themed reading blog. So this month I'm doing a horror reading blog where I take some horror books from my boyfriend's shelf. He has a lot of horror books on there. We definitely don't have the same taste, but there's a couple books on his shelf that I am somewhat interested in. So I picked 3 of them and we're gonna read them throughout the week. So the first one I have is Clown in a Cornfield by Cesare. This is more of a young adult book and it is a slasher about some killer clowns. Then we have Horrorstor by Grady Hendrix. This is an author I have read from before. This is about a haunted store similar to like an IKEA store, and the employees are staying overnight to see why these weird things are happening at the store, see if they can figure it out. And the last one is going to be The Haar by Sodergren. I feel like this is the one I've heard the most good things about. My boyfriend Dakota, I don't think he liked this one very much. I feel like he didn't really like Horrorstor that much, and I think he liked this one the best. This one is about a mysterious fog that is creeping onto an island. To some it brings redemption, to others it brings only madness and death. So we'll see how this one goes. I have already started the vlog, so let's roll the clips. Hello vlog, here for an update on Clown in a Cornfield. I am over halfway through. It is so freaking hot today. It's like 27 degrees, even though it's October. It's not the vibe. It's not the fall vibe. Not what I was hoping for during this month doing my horror reading vlog. It feels like it's summer, but oh well. Okay, so I've been reading Clown in a Cornfield and I've heard it's like really a love or hate book. Of course, I've taken this from Dakota's shelf. He did not really like this book. I think he gave it 2 stars. I've seen a lot of people give mediocre ratings and I definitely see why. Like my first instinct when I started this book was, ooh, this writing is really amateur. It's really not good. This must be Adam's first book. Like I would say that really confidently that it must be his first published book because the writing is just like very cringe. It is young adult. It does follow a lot of young adult characters and the narrative for these teens is not accurate. It's giving very cringe. They're dealing with like social media a little bit. It's these teenagers are like using their phones to record and stuff like that, and it's not feeling authentic to how real teens would behave in today's day and age. But in terms of the plot, we do have this prologue from a different character's point of view, and we see this very tragic kind of accident happen in this town. Then we go into the main part of the book. Our main girl is named Quinn. She has just moved to this new town with her dad. She suffered, a tragedy. Her mom's passed away. It's a classic kind of start to a horror movie, I guess, of like a new girl coming to town and we're getting to know the kind of cool kids in this town. That's who Quinn ends up befriending. This group of teenagers who are very like rebellious. They're doing all these pranks on the town. They're causing a lot of disruption, and a lot of the adults and the sheriff are very upset at these kids, and there's a lot of hatred and resentment and negative stuff going on. The slashing has begun. So the killer clown what was his name? Friendo or Fiendo or something. He has begun killing people. I really have no idea who it is. Well, no, I guess he does kind of have a clear target. So maybe I can kind of guess who it might be, but I've heard it's not a very good reveal. So we'll have to see. But yeah, the slashing has started. It's whatever to me. I feel like it's going to be a very like mediocre book. I could definitely see myself reading it 3 stars or lower at this point. We get different points of view than just Quinn, the different characters. Of course, we see from whoever is being killed, we see kind of from their point of view when they're being murdered. We've seen multiple characters kind of dress up in the clown costume, so we know a lot of different people have access to the costume. I guess the cringeness of it does kind of ring true to a lot of the kind of old school horror slasher films. I feel like a lot of those are cringe, so maybe that's what Adam was going for. I don't know. Still feel like the vibes are kind of good to kick off the October month, the spooky season. This is the first book I'm reading in October, but the writing quality is just not great. So that's gonna be my update for now. I don't think it'll take me too much longer to finish this, so I should be back soon. Hello, it's me again, the same version of me from the intro of this video. I have now finished Clown in a Cornfield. Like, I literally just finished it, so let me see how I'm feeling. This one was definitely gory. There was definitely a lot of killing, a lot of death, and some gross moments. Nothing too crazy though. Like, again, I think this is a young adult, so it's not like the most gross, gnarliest stuff I've ever read, but I don't really read a lot of this kind of stuff. I definitely didn't love a lot of this book. I think I already touched on that in my first update. As we got into more of the slashing and the killing, I feel like I didn't notice the writing style being as bad as I thought it was at first. So maybe this author is just kind of better at writing violence than he is about writing like day-to-day teenager stuff. Makes sense. Makes sense for a horror author. That being said, I didn't really enjoy a lot of that section of the book. The kind of reveal of what was going on behind these killings of this evil clown, didn't think it was a great reveal. Didn't really find it made sense. And I'm someone who, like, I'm fine if something's unbelievable as long as it's like entertaining and if it's like surprising to me. I just didn't really like the reasoning behind the murders. It really just seemed too unbelievable to me, and I guess not really entertaining enough. I wish it was done also in just like a different way where we got to see more of the individual killings rather than it kind of became this whole chaotic kind of mess. I was happy with something happened at the end that I was hoping for. There was something that really surprised me at the end, but overall I think I might rate it 3 stars. Could maybe be even lower than that, but I do think ultimately I did get some entertainment from this. And as I said, I feel like the writing got not as bad as it went on. I don't know, I maybe would give it like 2.5 stars, but I feel a little bad to do that. So basically this book is just not really one that I would recommend, not really one that I liked very much, very like meh. So that's too bad, but I do think it was a good kind of first book for October. It's obviously giving some creepy, horrific vibes to it. I know this one has a sequel. Definitely not going to be rushing out to read that. I see why there's a sequel with how it ended. Not going to be rushing to read that. And I think I have heard that the second one's even worse. So that's what we got for Clown in a Cornfield. Which book will I start next? Since I have the most hope for this one, maybe I will read this one next. Hey, I almost forgot I was filming a vlog. I got pretty far into Horrorstor by Grady Hendrix. I'm 150 pages in, so I think I have about 100 pages left. This book is pretty fun. As you can see, it's kind of designed to be like an IKEA catalog. It's a parody of IKEA a little bit and horror, so that is definitely fun. I cannot relate to kind of the retail aspects as I've never worked retail, but yeah, in this book our main character is Amy. She's a 24-year-old working at Orsk, which is basically IKEA. She's not feeling great about that, you know, that she hasn't quite nailed down her actual career and she thinks she's gonna get fired from her job or whatever. But weird stuff has been happening at this Orsk location. Vandalism and different things are happening at night. So the manager of the store, Basil, I think his name is, asked Amy and a couple other employees to stay overnight for a shift so they can keep an eye on what is going on at night. Like, is someone breaking in and doing these things, or like what's going on? A couple other employees end up coming as well because they think that the store is haunted. And so essentially this is like a haunted house story, except it's a store. And yeah, some weird stuff has started going on. I'm pretty far in now. So, the back is like the creepy version of the store. So we've definitely got into this section now and I'm having fun with it. This is just a fun book. Grady Hendrix writes a lot of like horror comedy stuff, which is great. It's a book that's quite different from anything that I really read. I feel like more movies have this type of tone, or I've watched more movies that maybe have a plot like this. So it's fun to read something a little bit different. It's gotten gross, it's gotten really creepy, you know, similar to how his book, Southern Book Club's Guide to Slaying Vampires, had a lot of very like squeamish, like gross moments. We're definitely getting into those. So I'm having a good time, feeling better about this one than the last one. It's feeling like a 4-star. So that is my update for Horrorstor right now. We are headed into Thanksgiving weekend over here in Canada. So I'm wearing my little pumpkin earrings, trying to be festive. Yeah, I'll probably keep this vlog going into the weekend. I'm going to be hosting Thanksgiving. I still need to decorate. I haven't even pulled out my Halloween decorations, which is so weird for me to not have them out yet. So I plan to do that. I plan to do some baking and then cooking for Thanksgiving. So that's the plan for the next couple days. Good morning. I finished Horrorstor and we decorated last night as well. So I honestly did quite like this book. I feel like I liked our main character, Amy. The other characters were interesting too. Yeah, it got really creepy, it got really scary like I talked about before, but something about the ending didn't really impress me. I had a theory of how I thought it would end and I kind of wish that had happened. But yeah, I feel like the ending, like he could have done a better job with it. Let me know if you've read it, if you feel the same. So I probably was gonna rate it like 4 stars, but maybe because of that kind of disappointing ending, I would probably rate it 3.5. So in terms of like ranking of his books, I think Southern Book Club's Guide to Slaying Vampires is my favorite still, then My Best Friend's Exorcism, and then probably this one. And then last would be the How to Sell a Haunted House book. No, it's definitely fun to read horror. I feel like every time I read horror books, I find it to be an interesting experience. Not always my favorite experience, but it is interesting. And so I would overall recommend this book, especially to read around this time. I feel like it was pretty fun. Could he have done maybe even more with the whole parody of IKEA and retail thing? Perhaps, but also, as I said before, I never worked retail, so maybe there's also a bit of distance there for me. Yeah, so I'm happy I finished that. It was not too long of a book. Today I definitely have, you know, some errands to do heading into the long weekend, but I'll definitely have time to start the Haar. Making apple crisp. This took way too long to make, to peel. It's ready for the oven. Hey vlog, so it is the day that we are going to have my mom over for Thanksgiving. I did also reach the Haar, halfway through the Haar, my final horror book for the vlog. So I didn't really have much expectations going into this in terms of what type of horror it was going to be, but looking at the cover, I mean, I guess I could have figured it would be more of like a creature horror. So that's enjoyable. It is following our main character, Muriel. She is an older lady, like, I don't know, I guess 70s. probably with her age, and she's living on this Scottish like island, and she's just lived there her whole life with her husband who's now passed. There is this American developer that is buying up all the properties there because they're gonna build a golf course, I believe, and she is so resistant to it. She will not take their money or their bribes to leave, and that is the major conflict. And there's like a couple other residents that are like that as well, that just are refusing to leave and take the deals. And this American guy is getting pretty terrible with his tactics to drive these people out. In the meantime, one night Muriel stumbles across this creature and kind of starts to take care of it, and they develop bit of a friendship, relationship, or whatever. I guess I don't overly want to say more than that. You can probably imagine what some of the stuff this creature might be getting up to. You know, it's similar to other creature horror stories I've witnessed. Not that I've read a ton of them, but yeah, I do like the direction that it's taking. I'm definitely interested to see what's going to happen in terms of the horror, because I've heard it's quite gory and graphic. I think we've just had one of those scenes, really, maybe like 1.5 of those scenes. It was kind of crazy. The descriptions were kind of crazy, so I can only imagine what the second half is going to bring. So I'm definitely looking forward to reading it. It's only 200 pages total, so shouldn't take me too much longer to read it. I just don't think I'll have a ton of time today because I have to clean the apartment and then cook and obviously host. Definitely looking forward to reading the rest of this. Oh, and then last night we watched a couple horror movies. We watched the Clown in a Cornfield movie. I'm like, okay, may as well watch it since I just read the book, and you know, I can talk about it on the blog. How did they somehow make this story worse? Somehow they made the story worse. Like, obviously we know I wasn't a huge fan of the book, thought it was very mediocre. They made it worse in the movie, so I would not recommend watching that movie. Overall, I don't think it was great, but then there were certain things they just like made worse. Some of the plot twists I liked being at the very end were revealed earlier. The casting choices for a number of the characters was just not good in my opinion. Some might even say problematic, I don't know. And then a lot of the characters did not get developed, like the character of Janet. That was unfortunate to see. They did try to hide one of the plot twists to be later. It's like they kind of changed when the audience found things out. I don't necessarily think that it worked. The kills weren't great. Like, I don't know. There were a lot of issues with that. So that's my review. I also watched The Strangers Part 1 or Chapter 1. I hadn't seen it, with the girl from Riverdale. Also was kind of disappointed with that. It's weird how like the story is continuing. Like, I know Chapter 2 is out and there's gonna be more chapters, and I just feel like they're like dragging out this story. But anyways, at least we got through some movies I wanted to see. All right, I finished the Haar moments ago. Yeah, overall, I would say I like this book. Nothing was like too crazy, graphic, gory. Like, it was, but it wasn't. Like, I feel like it could have been worse. It was definitely kind of a weird book, unique. Overall, probably would recommend if you like, maybe if you like something like The Shape of Water. It's kind of giving that kind of vibe. Also reminded me of Menstrualio a little bit. So like horror, but also a little bit romantic, which I know it says on the back, I think. Or maybe it doesn't. Yeah, romantic and deranged, gore-soaked folk horror fairy tale. So yeah, I did overall like it, but I probably would rate it 3.5 stars. I just don't think this type of book is something that I would say like I loved. So yeah, that just comes down to my taste, but I think for people who have different tastes than me, this easily could be like 4 or 5 stars. I totally believe it. I think it's just not necessarily 100% my taste, but I do think it was cool to read. I'm continuing to enjoy my horror reading journey. There's such a different range of horror books out there, and it is pretty interesting to read and explore, see what works for me. So yeah, I did like this. I overall am pretty happy with this reading vlog, even though none of the ratings were higher than 3.5 stars. Still was pretty enjoyable, and I just really do like reading spooky things during the this time. Glad that I watched a few horror movies as well. We watched another one last night called Creep, which I didn't really like either. So, but at least I still watched and read some horror this week. So thank you so much for watching. Well, let me know down below what the creepiest, scariest horror book you've read recently has been, or let me know anything else you would like to share. But yeah, thanks so much for watching. Be sure to subscribe for more bookish videos like this, reading vlogs and recommendations. And I hope you have a great rest of the month, a great rest of October. See you soon in a new video coming very soon. Bye.